10:04. Welcome to this Thursday edition of Chicago Now. Alongside Caitlin Cody, I am Anthony Ponce, and we are getting hot today, aren't we?
Speaking of the hot heat, I saw you commented on my Instagram post about wanting to know more about that vent.
I do. I am so curious about this.
Yeah. Okay, so
give folks the background here, because my home, it's an older home, and it's got this stuff called Space Pack, which is like retrofitted central air. So it wasn't like a part of the original house. They put in, it's like central air, but they had to like pipe it all through this old existing structure, so it has trouble keeping up during the hottest days of the year. So if we have it set to 72, sometimes it's like up at like 78 until nighttime comes, and then it cools back down again.
Awful.
So your whole thing, let me set this up so people have context here. Caitlin has a solution for redistributing more effectively the air so it doesn't all get
well, because people
trapped.
have hot bedrooms upstairs. I mean, it happens with all houses. My house is new and it still does that. So anyways, if you are having an issue with keeping your bedrooms or even your living rooms cool because your air conditioner isn't working right, or even your heat for that matter, you can look up online. It's called Bio Air, I believe. Bio Air. Let me double check that while I explain this. So it's something I found that you can buy on Amazon, and they have different sizes that fit the air vents in your house. Let me look, Bio Air. And what you do is you plug it into the wall, and it's like a fan, and you can put what temperature you want it to be at, and it'll detect if the air is at that temperature. And if it's warmer, it'll pull the air out of your vent and push it into your room. So let's say you want it to be set at 72 and your room is at 76. It'll turn the fan on stronger until it hits that temperature that you want it to be at.
So the fan, not the air handler for the AC unit, it's like a standalone fan?
Yes, and it goes into your vent.
It goes into the vent.
It you know, like the vent covers?
Yes.
It like fits right on there. Boop.
Okay.
And then you can it has a little remote, but you don't even need it. You can put it on there. Bio.
So like the vent covers that are about like this big.
Yes. Yes.
Okay, I don't think it'll work for mine.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
they
we
have
have
different sizes.
Okay. What's it called again?
I think it's BioAir, but now I'm looking
Because
it
that's
up
the
and
thing is like we have on the top floor of our house, it's really cool, and we need it like more distributed to the bottom floor because the upper floor is cool and the bottom floor near
yeah,
the
sure, you
know,
can
the
put it
first
anywhere.
floor.
Yeah, yeah. Oh my goodness!
cool.
Now I'm trying to
Okay.
find. I had emails from people asking about this.
Yes, no, it's
here it is, I
generally a
found
lot
it.
of interest.
It's called. Let me pull it up and I'll show you what it looks like. Yeah, I've gotten emails. I had comments asking about it. I think everybody is having issues this week, especially.
Well, anything to make the thing run more efficiently.
Excuse me, BioWind, not BioAir. But this is what it looks
BioWind.
like.
So it looks like a standard air vent.
Yeah, so it's an air vent. You push it in. It's a booster fan. It's pretty. I don't know. It works really well. Look, it has 4.4 out of 5 stars with 2,263
Okay.
reviews.
All
So
right.
if you are struggling with the air conditioning, especially in your bedrooms upstairs, highly recommend. It'll cool it off.
Nice. Thank you for the tip there, Caitlin. All right. We are kicking things off this Thursday morning with another friend of the show, Mr. Michael Babcock. He's one of the executive producers over at TMZ to talk about a couple of hot topics in the world of entertainment. We are talking not only about the Diddy trial, because there's been some very interesting little twists as things get to the finish line here, but also, Michael, we're also going to be asking you
The
in a little
wedding
bit.
of the century.
Yeah, the wedding of the century. Wow.
And good morning, guys. Our invitations must have gotten lost in the mail. I've got to ask Jeff and Lauren Sanchez
Me
about
too.
that. But anyway.
What do you want to start with? Do you want to start with Bezos, or do you want to get right into this Diddy stuff and get that out of the way?
You want to get? I don't know. You want to get the bad, the negative out
Let's
of the Diddy
Let's
topic
start
out
with
of
the
way?
bad, so we can look forward to
Okay.
the
Easier
amusing.
transition after.
So what is going on? There's been a last minute, really 11th hour kind of twist in the plot with the Sean Combs trial. Get us updated, Michael.
Yeah, I think that's a great way to put it. So today, we are really at the finish line here. So today, as we speak right now, as a matter of fact, closing arguments are being made. So the prosecutors are up there. They are expected to speak for something like 4 hours today. They will speak for 2 hours, take a lunch break, come back for 2 more hours. Everybody goes home, and then tomorrow, the defense team will make their closing arguments, and then the prosecutors will have an hour to rebut what was said. And then this thing, it could be tomorrow afternoon, but likely on Monday morning, this gets kicked over to the jury and they deliberate. But you're exactly right. There have been some big changes here. So we know this is not a domestic violence case. This is a racketeering case, a RICO case, and a sex trafficking case. Well, the prosecutors have taken some things off of the table that they put witnesses up to testify to during the trial. Namely, Kid Cudi's testimony has become largely irrelevant now. You remember Kid Cudi was on the stand. He testified about an incident that happened years ago where he believes that Diddy ordered somebody to drop a Molotov cocktail, essentially a bomb, in his car, his Porsche, and blow up his Porsche.
Oh, my.
Well, now prosecutors have removed that attempted arson element from the RICO charge. So when the instructions are given to the jury, they will not hear anything. They will not be told anything about the arson. So it will not be considered. So everything, again, that Kid Cudi said about the arson, at least, wiped off the board. Also, there was an attempted kidnapping element to the RICO charge, and that also, too, is now gone. That had to do with a former Diddy employee named Capricorn Clark, who had said that Diddy and his, some of his team had basically held her captive, and administered a lie detector test over the course of a couple of days to find out whether or not she had taken stuff from him, materials, jewelry from Diddy. That's off the board now as well. So again, the charges still remain the same, but the elements that have to make up those charges have now been altered.
Why did they do that? Why would the prosecution do that?
Well, I think there's two reasons. One, the judge here really wanted them to streamline, to pare down, to kind of focus the instructions that were given to the jury, because he doesn't want this to be so complex and convoluted that they can't come back with a verdict. But I think the reality is this was up to the prosecutors, and if they felt like they had been strong in those two elements, the attempted arson, the attempted kidnapping, I can't see any way that they would, choose to take those off the table if they felt like that would help them get a conviction. I mean, essentially what it comes down to is for the RICO charge to stick, you need to have a couple of different elements met. Like, was he doing X? Was he doing, Z? And if those number of different elements, at least 2 elements are met, then it can constitute a guilty RICO verdict. Again, now they've taken some of those things away. So arson not considered, kidnapping not considered. And I think it shows that they feel like they weren't very strong on those points. And then I wonder, do they feel like they weren't very strong in their case altogether?
That is a question I think a lot of people are asking. Does he get off here? Now, does this change the sentencing parameters if he is convicted on the remaining charges? Will it change things in terms of his ultimate outcome?
Yeah, so no, it won't, because at the end of the day, if you were to look at the counts here, you would still see the racketeering and the sex trafficking. So that really hasn't changed. It's just, obviously the racketeering is a little bit different of a charge, because it's the idea that he was running allegedly this criminal enterprise, and he was then acting as the head of this enterprise, and people were doing essentially illegal things on his behalf. So it's not as simple as if this was a domestic violence case and it's like, did Diddy hit Cassie, yes or no, guilty or not? And that we've seen, that's pretty straightforward. So no, the sentencing guidelines would not change. He is still facing decades in prison if convicted here. And I mean, everything's on the line for Diddy. But I think if you're looking at this and you had to say, is this a good sign for Diddy or is it a good sign for the prosecutors? I think undoubtedly you say it's a good sign for Diddy. That's not to say he's going to be found not guilty, but I assume that they are looking at this as if it's good news. I can't see how else they would.
Mm-hmm. Well, let's switch our tune now. Let's talk about a big wedding. Yeah? All right. So
that sounds great.
We're talking about Venice. So Jeff Bezos and Lauren Sanchez have officially touched down their wedding weekend, making all the headlines for all the right or the wrong reasons. So let's talk about this ceremony. What is going on? What have we heard?
I think if you could think of, make up the dream wedding with the dream guest list, and this is what they're doing. I mean, there are 2 people in Lauren Sanchez and Jeff Bezos who they like going to big parties. I think they like being the center of attention. And obviously with Jeff Bezos' fortune, with something like $250 billion, they've got the means here. So, I mean, they are spending, upwards of $10 million on this wedding. I mean, you're talking about just for the wedding being $50,000 a head, something like 200 guests. The who's who, I mean, everyone from Leonardo DiCaprio to Orlando Bloom to Ivanka Trump to Tom Brady. I mean, the list just goes on and on and on. Not just actors, musicians, athletes, but some of the biggest and most influential business leaders in the world will be there. They are largely all there already in Venice. As a matter of fact, Jeff and Lauren got there yesterday and arrived in grand fashion. And I think this is, as far as weddings go and as far as parties go, I think this is probably, if there was one that you could be at, it's probably this one.
Probably this one, yeah. I saw Oprah getting off the plane, Kim
Oprah,
Kardashian.
Yeah, it's like, right? The guests are so big that I'm forgetting about people like Oprah,
exactly.
Right? I mean, that's how many celebrities
it's massive. There. Now, Michael, I had read somewhere, this is just like in the last 12 hours, I want to say, that they had to call an audible on one of the venues here. They had to change course. Is that accurate? And if so, what's up?
Yeah, you know what? It's funny because a lot of the the people who are going there and the celebrities, they're obviously very excited. But a lot of the locals are really upset, guys, that it's like a traveling circus comes into town and you've got things being shut down and areas that are closed off, and you've got all of these people and the jets flying in and the yachts rolling up. I mean, just Jeff and Lauren alone. I mean, they've got a 420-foot yacht. It looks more like a cruise ship, and because of that, you're seeing some last-minute changes, and you are seeing a lot, especially of the locals, who are not really loving that this is happening right there in their backyard.
Just as an onlooker, what's surprising to me is 200 guests. And they have all these celebrities. Where are their family and friends? You know what I mean? Like,
let's hope they were invited.
I know nobody, and I had 100 people easily. Are they inviting family?
Right.
Do you think they're going to do 2 separate ceremonies? This one is just for the glitz and the glam?
Right. No, I mean, I not even heard anything like that. But I got to be honest. When I heard 200 people too. I said, I kind of imagine that it might be more people, but I think that
200,000
just
maybe.
goes
No.
right. I guess it just goes to show that it's exclusive. I think it's probably going to be a mix. It'll be a lot of famous people. Not that they're not friends with these people, by the way. It's just that at when you're Jeff Bezos, and these are kind of the people you rub shoulders with. He's not friends with me. He's friends with Tom Brady.
Oh, you're all of our invite got lost in the mail. Michael, do we know anything about the actual plan and some of the things about this wedding? Or are they keeping that well under wraps?
Well, they're trying, but we've learned some things, some elements here.
Okay.
Now they are actually having the rehearsal right now as we speak. From what we have been told, and it just goes to show how guarded they've been. It doesn't seem like the wedding is going to happen until Saturday, but it does also feel like they might be keeping us on our toes, and perhaps it is actually tomorrow. But rehearsals going on right now, a wedding likely Saturday. They have got a bunch of different themed parties. They're having a pajama themed party that everybody that's going to the wedding is expected to attend. They've got a Gatsby themed cocktail party that they're doing. Ooh. So this is not just like the wedding and everyone gets out. This is a whole week of festivities.
That reminds me, when you were talking, I saw an element, I don't know if it was on TMZ's Instagram feed, but that Orlando Bloom is going stag to this thing?
Yeah, so
is that right?
That's another thing. So he's been engaged to Katy Perry forever, for like 6 years. They are not together right now. They have split, and he is going to this wedding single and ready to mingle. Imagine that. Leonardo DiCaprio, Tom Brady, and Orlando Bloom.
It's the Bachelor crew.
Bachelors.
Orlando, I didn't know they broke up.
Yeah.
Oh, that's sad.
I didn't really know either. I follow the stuff loosely, but that is going to, the pajama party might get kind of wild.
You're right. I wouldn't want to be a guy at that party if you were like, looking to find maybe a lady for yourself, and you've got those three walking around. Good luck.
Oh,
and Leonardo at the Gatsby party, he's going to be the
yeah, that's right.
Gathering.
He played Jay Getz. Good pull there, Kayla.
That is a good callback.
All right, Michael Babcock, thank you so much. Always so much fun to check in with you.
Anytime. Thanks so much for having me.
All right, have a great one, sir.
Okay.
Yes. I think, was it this past week we were talking about the average cost of an American wedding, which was
36 or 38,000.
Exactly, which surprised me at how high that was.
I'm surprised they're only spending 10 million.
Me too.
I
when
thought
he
it
said
would be
10
$1
million,
billion.
me too.
Why
I thought it'd be
not?
like 50, 60 million.
And 200 what?
That
can't
that's
be right.
Not very
way.
much. That's not very many, but I think Michael's right that's just how exclusive this party is.
They've got brothers and sisters and cousins and uncles, and where are all those people? Where are all those people? Oprah, that's awesome, but where's your family?
Maybe you don't. They're both on at least round 2 here. I think Sanchez has been married a few times. We know Jeff Bezos broke up with Mackenzie Scott some years back, and so maybe the friends and family are like, hey. Listen, we were there for round 1. Oh
We're
my
good.
gosh, talk about great
Cannot.
tease before we go to break. Oh my gosh.
Hey, baby.
The cuteness factor in studio just shot up to about 12 on a scale of 1 to 10.
Oh my!
This is just a little tease.
Little teaser. We do have to go to break,
Oh my
but when
gosh.
we come back, we're gonna meet
my
this
gosh.
little nugget here and talk about a very big event for PAWS Chicago. They are having their Day of Giving, and I love they're getting competitive. They're pitting dog owners against cat owners. Who can raise the most money? And there's a matching factor to this. So we're going to meet this lovely little thing when we come back. Stay with us.
On cue. Welcome back, you guys. We've got PAWS and a sweet little baby in studio. So we have a lot to talk about. PAWS Annual Giving Day. Is it today? Chicago is facing a heartbreaking surge in homeless pets, and your support is critical to support these little ones. So
This
first,
is
let's
Lentil
talk
right
about
here.
The guest of honor here.
The guest of honor is Lentil, and Lentil is the sister of a previous guest on Good Day Chicago this morning, right? Her brother was in studio, is that right, guys?
Opposite.
Opposite.
So,
Oh, okay.
Come on,
Lentil
Anthony.
is the brother.
The
to
brother.
Lilo. Yes, Lilo was on this morning. She made her debut. There's about 5 of them in the litter, and they're all ready for adoption. They're all 2 months old, and we think they're maybe some sort of boxer mix, maybe a shepherd, but yeah, all mixed breed.
Cute as a
Combination is
bun.
cute. By the way,
Yeah.
this is Ashley and Carrie joining us from PAWS Chicago to tell us about the annual Giving Day. Let's start with you, Carrie. What is this annual Giving Day all about? What do we need to know here?
So this is our 4th annual Giving Day, and really it's just like the name implies, it's a day of giving back to PAWS Chicago, whether that be through volunteering, supporting one of our corporate partners that's doing a give back, or donating to our PAWS Chicago /Giving Day website that we have a fun competition going on right now. Get to that in a second. But right now, as you had mentioned, we're seeing such a heartbreaking surge in homeless pets being brought in. I know, to Chicago Animal Care and Control. They're bringing in about 60 pets a day.
Oh my gosh.
Which is really high. So we're doing all that we can to help reverse that trend. We're there with our 360 program where we have staff there 7 days a week trying to help owners keep their pets so they don't have to relinquish them, whether that be through medical services, maybe they just need extra supply of food. We're also supplying spay and neuter surgeries to help the pets that are there, that they can get adopted out or brought to other transfer shelters, and helping with any medical needs that the pets have at our state-of-the-art medical center as well.
Keep chewing that baby.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's talk about giving and why it's important. Obviously, you just mentioned what needs to be done, but PAWS Chicago, why is it important to you guys that the community comes together?
Sure.
Sorry.
Lentil.
He's maybe teething here. We're
Yeah, always definitely teething.
You want to hold the baby?
Sure, I'll hold Lentil.
No. There you go. So
Chew on
it's,
your ring a little bit.
I mean, this right here is the reason why it's so important. You know, unfortunately, we do see a lot of backyard breeding, and you know, there's a saying that there's people kind of led to the problem, but people are also the solution. So
Yeah.
we really do need to come together to help all of this, all of that we're seeing at Chicago Animal Care and Control. And we're doing what we can to also curb overpopulation. At our Lurie Spay and Neuter Clinic, we provide 19,000 spay and neuter surgeries
Wow.
a year.
Wow.
At our Kazurek Medical Center, it's the largest veterinary clinic of its kind to help homeless pets here in Chicago.
Yeah.
And we also save about 4,500 animals a year. You know, like these cute little litters here find their homes.
I was wondering too, in the winter time, you know, when you see a dog that's left outside, different organizations can provide hay or shelter for these dogs, but what about in the summer when it's so hot? Like, what if you're driving around or one of your neighbors has a dog that's left outside and you worry about them in this heat? What do you guys recommend that someone would do?
Yeah, so call Animal Care and Control.
Okay.
They are our city's intake facility, so they do bring in the animals. So especially if you also see a pet that you think might be neglected, severely abused, we also do encourage to call your local police station as well, because in case there's something bigger happening there.
Yeah.
And but in the meantime, if it's safe to do so, and you see a pet that's struggling in the heat, if you can provide water to just at least keep them comfortable, as long as it's safe for you to do so.
Yeah.
That's another thing that you could, like an immediate action that you could take.
Ashley, can you talk a little bit more, dive in more about what is behind this influx? Did you mention 60 per day, 60 new?
Yeah, so averaging about nearly 60 per day. A lot of it is due to economics. You know, the cost of living right now is just so high, let alone providing for your pets. You know, there's food, the water, the training, the toys. There's a lot that goes into owning an animal, and sometimes it's just economically it's just not great for the owner anymore. And it's really sad because people who are doing these owner surrenders, they don't necessarily want to. It's just their last resort and they can't afford to keep them. So with our 360 program, we do have some options to provide people with food, like with our pet food pantry and low-cost spay, neuter, and vaccines, and all of these different options that people don't know are available to them. So when they go to Chicago Animal Care and Control, we have somebody on site who can give them those options, and hopefully, we can find a solution where they don't need to relinquish their animal, because it's a part of their family. They want to keep their family member.
And sometimes too, like I've seen posts about giving your dog to a shelter and how it's not good for the dog's mental health, even because of all the barking. I guess that would go with any animal. A couple fun events you guys have coming up: PAWS Chicago Beach Party and a 5K. So let's get into those. When are they, and what can people expect?
Yeah, so July 17th at Offshore Rooftop. That's going to be our 22nd annual beach party. So we're going to have hundreds of guests, in their luau outfits, along with their four-legged friends. They're coming along. There's going to be open bar, dinner, live and silent auctions, an ice cream bar for people and puppies.
Cute.
So it's really just a lot of fun. These annual events, they raise critical funds for all of the life-saving work that PAWS can do. Funds our Historic Medical Center, our adoption program, getting those 4,500 pets home each year. And, we'd love to send even more home. So, tickets are available at pawschicago.org/beach party. We'd love to see everybody there, but we also have our 5K,
and our 5K is on Saturday, September 13th. It's our largest attended event. So we see about 3,000 people and 1,000 dogs. I like to say this is what heaven looks like, dogs everywhere.
Yes.
And it's just really a fun day about spoiling your pet. So we have everything from doggy pools to photo stations, an agility course, and of course the walk and run is a great time too, but it's a lot of fun just to see all the sponsors doing giveaways for pets and really spoiling cute little pups like this one.
Yeah, do you guys do that downtown? Is it on the lakefront?
Yeah, we do that at Montrose Harbor.
Okay, Montrose.
Yep.
That's a great
Montrose
venue
Harbor.
for a 5K.
Yeah.
Okay, so this cat lovers versus dog lovers mono head-to-head matchup.
Yeah.
When are we going to know who stepped up more this time of year?
Well, right now, it's going on live right now, so
Yeah.
you can go to pawschicago.org/giving day, where you can see the real live updates. Technically, it'll finish at midnight tonight at the end of our giving day.
Wait, can we start over? What are we talking about? There's
So
a cat
this
versus
is
dog
yes,
owners.
exactly. Which either of you can take this. This is I
so
like
we
this.
decided to have fun with Giving Day this year and
Okay.
see, who is really in it to help more of these pets. So when you make a donation, you're going to pick if you're team cat, team dog, or if you're like me and can't decide, team both.
Oh.
So as of last night going into it, Team Cat was in the lead, and then this morning, shortly after our morning segment, Team Both now took the lead. And so Team Dog is in third, but it's still very close. It's still anyone's
Both.
game. Team Both is in the
What team
lead.
are you on?
Cat
Yeah, I'm a
person,
cat. I'm
aren't
Team
you?
Cat.
So yeah,
I'm
Team
Team
Cat.
Dog.
It's
You're
there,
Team Dog?
There's
Okay,
a
we'll
lot of back
cancel
and
each other
forth. And also too, to double the impact, we have a generous $35,000 matching gift. That's from My Virtuous Quest. And right now we're at about 23,000, so we still have ways to go to get that full match. So hopefully we can get there.
$12,000, and that'll be doubled. And
Yes.
That is so
for every
great.
dollar you donate, it's as if you're giving $2.
how far does that money go?
It goes incredibly far, because the importance of Giving Day, and especially being right now, right here, is that allows us to start using the money immediately. So we don't have to wait until Giving Day in November or for some of our events coming up, because these funds are so critically needed right now. CACC needs us at this moment and really can't wait.
Okay, so if someone can't give money, but maybe they did some spring cleaning, they have some extra blankets or food laying around, can they just deliver it to your office? Where should they go?
Yeah, so we have a medical center in Little Village and our adoption center in Lincoln Park. During all of our operating hours, you can come drop off any sorts of donations. We will take food, clothes, or blankets, dog clothes if you have them, they'll wear them. Pretty much anything you can think of, we'll take. Towels, but you can also foster and volunteer with us. Last year, our fosters put in over 125,000 hours, which is equivalent to 60 full-time employees. So our volunteers, we say it all the time, they're really the backbone of PAWS. They put in so much work and so much effort. We could not operate without them. And our foster program, we say, you're pulling one animal, you're saving 2 lives. So you're creating space in the shelter for that animal you're taking care of in the moment. And in the moment that animal's getting taken care of, they don't have to be at the shelter.
Do you encourage all of the animals to be fostered? Like, what if somebody was like, oh, this puppy's really cute, I can't adopt, but I want to foster? Could they just come foster an animal, any of the dogs that are there, or any of the pets that are there, the cats, anything?
Yes, great question. We do have a foster application that one needs to go through first, and then we ask some general questions about your home, your lifestyle, any experience you have, because we want to make sure that, just like our adoption process, we're putting the right foster pet with you.
Yeah.
So fostering might be someone who can only take a kitten for maybe a weekend, where we have some longer term fosters that might take a couple of weeks or even months that need help healing and need an experienced foster to help with that.
Okay.
So first is the application, and then from there they'll be in our database where we'll reach out and say, here are the pets and here are the different levels if you're interested in fostering.
So it's so there's a wide range of time commitment. You don't have to say, oh my gosh, well I don't have room in my house for 6 weeks, but it can go as little as a weekend, and that still helps you guys out.
Makes an immense difference.
Yes,
Wow.
because that then frees up space at our medical center or adoption center that we can bring in an additional pet at CACC.
Right.
So really, when you foster, you're saving 2 lives
That's
instead
really
of
great.
1.
So you said dogs and cats. What other animals do you have there that people could bring home? Maybe a hamster or something like that? Do you guys have those kind of animals?
We're primarily dogs and cats.
Just dogs and cats?
Yes.
Okay, good to know.
There's
Yeah,
not a
so-
hamster category in the
Little bunny
in
rabbit or guinea pig.
the versus thing.
No
Yeah.
reptile category.
Maybe someday.
Maybe
but
someday.
for right
All right,
now,
one
we're
more time, because we got
focused.
all
Simple.
online audience on this show. Where do they head, the website, if they want to get in on this day of giving? Where should they head?
Yes, pawschicago.org/giving day.
Okay,
Yes.
pawschicago.org/giving day.
Get this baby a home.
Yes,
Yes.
this
baby
lentil
Yeah.
will not even have a problem finding.
No, Lentil will most likely find a home
Yeah.
later on today,
So
which will be a very
sweet.
fitting way
Phones
to
are
end
ringing.
Giving Day. Yeah.
All right, Carrie and Ashley with PAWS. We always love it when you come here.
Thanks for
You
having
just
us.
brighten everybody's
us.
day, and hopefully it's effective, your appearances here, and getting these wonderful pets forever homes. Thank you both so much.
Thank you for having
We
us.
really, really appreciate it. Okay, coming up very shortly, better late than never. Caitlin, you were gone, but we were scheduled to talk to one of the founding members of The Roots. You guys a fan of The Roots? Yeah, the house band for The Tonight Show. Unbelievable talent. We are told we're going to be joined live by one of the co-founders of this legendary hip-hop group when we come back. So stay with us, everybody.
Welcome back. So, what formed as a band at a performing arts high school? Who knew? In Philly, transformed into a Grammy Award-winning group that has been redefining hip-hop for nearly 40 years. Ahead of their upcoming Ravinia performance, we're joined by the Roots co-founder and lead singer Tariq Trotter, better known to fans as Black Thought. Good morning.
Good morning. Good morning.
Are you in town yet for this Ravinia show, or are you still out of town?
No, yeah, I'm still out of town. I'm still in New York City right now.
So fun.
It's so cool to be able to talk to you. I actually went to your show at Ravinia last year with a big group of friends. We had an absolute blast. You guys are phenomenal.
Thank you. Thanks so much for coming out. We're really looking forward to, getting out there again.
So you guys started in high school. Oh my goodness. What has this music meant to you and this growth and the development of your band?
It's been great, man. It's been a blessing to be able to share this level of brotherhood and camaraderie for as long as we have. Yeah, the Roots, Questlove, the drummer and musical director of the band, and I formed the Roots in 1987.
That's unbelievable, and so many kind of younger people know you guys, the house band, on the Tonight Show. What do you think has caused the Roots to stand the test of time over all these decades?
I think just, really musicianship and, just the arts education that we received as young folks. I think it's the sort of thing that nowadays we may take for granted. But, the arts education that we received is what really helped to shape the way we perceive the world. And I feel like once an artist, always an artist. So we've been able to just continually reinvent ourselves and to switch, to sort of go from medium to medium and strength to strength,
So when you and Amir met Jimmy Fallon, you were already traveling the world with your music. How did life change from traveling and performing to Jimmy Fallon?
Before we started working with Jimmy Fallon at what would at that time be called the late night show with Jimmy Fallon, we were road warriors. So we were on the road probably 200 and some odd days a year. We would clock in lots of shows. That just completely changed drastically. It's been the polar opposite in that we're able to get out. And we still travel the world, and we do gigs. We're able to go out and keep up appearances in Chicago, but it has to happen on the weekend.
Well, okay, so it's confined to the weekends. Will you talk about Ravinia as a venue and how that stacks up against other outdoor or indoor venues even that you play around the world?
Well, Ravinia for me is one of my favorite venues in the country. I just really appreciate the way it's laid out. I think it's on par with some of my other favorites like Red Rocks in Colorado and like the Gorge up in Washington. I really in Hollywood Bowl too. What I appreciate is you're able to connect with almost everyone in the audience, from every vantage point. And from what I understand, that is by design. Also, from what I understand, the Ravinia Music Festival, Ravinia Festival is the oldest music festival in the country. I just found that out.
I think it goes all the way back to like 1907 or something like that.
1904, I think.
Yeah.
But it's crazy. I did a little bit of research, and maybe that's part of the connection. It's like we're the Roots. I have just an affinity for the foundation.
Yeah, absolutely. So you mentioned being able to connect with the people who are watching you create this music.
Yeah.
What about Chicago? When you're here in the city, what are your go-to places? What do you have to do while you're in Chicago?
First and foremost, if I'm in Chicago, I have to eat. I have to eat. I think Chicago and Philadelphia, where I'm from, and New York City and Boston and I think they're sister cities in many ways, but one of the ways in which they're super closely related, and definitely like the Philly-Chicago connection is through food. Almost everything that exists in the Philadelphia food culture, like there's a Chicago version of.
Yes.
So yeah, that's like I'm a super foodie, and even if I arrive on the day of a gig, I'm definitely gonna find time to carve out and visit a restaurant or two.
That's an interesting point you just made there, because everyone thinks of the cheesesteak when they think of your hometown.
Right.
And we've
The
got the
beef.
Italian beef here.
Italian,
Have
yeah.
you tried the Italian beef?
I have.
And how does it stack up against a Philly cheesesteak in your mind?
I feel like it does stack up. I feel like it stacks up, and I think there's a traditional Philly cheesesteak, which is sort of like the standard, the golden standard. But then there's all these different variations, and some of the variations of the Philadelphia cheesesteak that I've developed an affinity for. In essence, are like they take on the identity of some of the other versions. You know what I mean? Like the Chicago Italian beef, or the New York City chopped cheese. Sometimes some of those elements are introduced, but it's frowned upon. Like they some
To cross-pollinate? The purists get offended?
Oh,
Yeah,
for sure.
yeah.
Well, let's turn
Some
back to
people
your
are
music.
purists.
So your writing process when you're writing your music, you talk about political issues, social justice. What is that like when you're developing a song? How do you find the words and what to talk about?
I think I've always sort of spoken to the moment in a way that I don't know, being present sort of compels me to speak to what's going on. So I think artists like myself and my good brother Common, who's represents Chicago super well. I think artists like us, we're cut from a certain cloth, and we've always just felt a certain level of responsibility to make a socio-political commentary. You know what I mean? So I think at this point it comes natural because it's all we've ever done.
One thing that struck me during the show last year at Ravinia was just the level of musicianship of the band itself. I think my first exposure to you guys was you guys had a song called Section.
Oh yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
One of my friends put it on a mixtape for me way back in the day, and that was like my first exposure. So I always thought of you as like rappers, but how on the Tonight Show it feels like you guys can just play anything at any time on such short notice. It's like a short order chef.
Yeah.
They can just like cook up anything.
Talent.
How often do you guys rehearse, and how long did it take you guys to get to the point where you could be that versatile?
Well, we rehearse every day, to answer your question. We rehearse, all of the ins and outs and sort of the musical little nuggets that you hear for sometimes 7 seconds or 8 or 9 seconds at a time. We rehearse all that stuff, and I think the level of just sort of uniformity that we have, and just we're almost able to finish one another's thoughts.
Oh, wow.
Just because of the amount of time that we spend together. So it's second nature at this point. But like I said, we came out at a time where this level of musicality, and even the fact that we played live instruments presented a challenge.
How big is
You know
the
what I mean?
band?
It was something that we had to overcome.
How big's the
I'm
band?
sorry. Oh, right now on stage we're about 12 people.
Yeah, it's big. Caitlin, like, honestly, they would jam for minutes on end. It was so awesome. Black Thought, one more question for you before we let you go. Last year's show, it was incredible. What can folks expect this time around? Is it tomorrow or the next? It's Friday night, right?
Yeah,
Friday night.
Friday night at Ravinia. You can expect, for us to continue to take the bar up from where we set it. You know what I mean? I think the bar has been established, and like folks know what they're getting and they know what to expect. But also you should expect some surprises.
Love it.
So fun.
Love it. Have an awesome
It's
time.
gonna be hot in Chicago.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Get ready for
exactly.
the heat.
Loose
Yeah.
clothing on
Breathable
stage.
clothing.
Hopefully they have fans and air
that's
conditioners
cool.
for you guys. Have an awesome time. I wish I could make it
Safe
this year. I can't make it on
travels.
Friday night.
Oh.
Thank you so
Have
much.
fun.
Great to see you. Thank you so much. It's so cool to be able to talk to them
Yeah.
about their history.
I wondered too. I wonder if these musicians that write their own lyrics, if they journal. You know how he said he's living in the moment,
Right.
and really you have to like get those thoughts and those feelings out. I bet that they have just the most incredible journals.
They have, I mean, and the fact that they have stayed, in the present and relevant for decades.
Right.
I mean, that very few bands can say that have stood
Stand
the test of time.
And they all get along, obviously.
12 people. I mean, it's something else. So
Yeah.
Ravinia, you got to go to Ravinia. No. Have you been to Ravinia yet? Is it still on the list? You have to. We gotta go, Caitlin.
I know. Maybe when my baby's a little bigger.
Yeah, you
Get
know
a
what? You've
babysitter.
got your hands full.
Well, he's one. Maybe when he's
But,
2 and he's
like,
not going to choke, I'll let someone
at
watch
the same time, I know what a challenge childcare can be as well. And like, I'm already planning. We're gonna go see Earth, Wind, and Fire at Ravinia in August. I'm already planning because if we want to take a bunch of other couples, all those other couples, they've got kids.
Good luck.
They need to get the
Yeah.
childcare, and it's on a weeknight. I got to get the time off, all that stuff.
Yeah.
So it's a big to do, but
It is.
you have to go to Ravinia. I'm gonna
One
stay
day.
on you on
Maybe
that one.
in 5 years.
Maybe
We'll
in
circle back.
5 years. Okay, we're gonna go to a quick break, and we're gonna have more Chicago Now right after this. So stay with us, everybody.
And we did it again. Turn around and find out. But this time we added a little twist. And yeah, I know I keep saying that, but it's true. We popped up in Logan Square with a DJ in a brand new spot. We call this one Cafeton, coffee and reggaeton. They say no one dances in clubs anymore. So we said bet, and we took the dancing outside of the club. We added a little caffeine, and then look what happened. Y'all wanted fun on a Sunday morning, and we delivered. What more could you ask for?
Okay.
Interesting little concept there.
This is a new concept called Press and Play, actually, founded in late 2024 by Chicago influencer Jordan Williams. So he places these DJs inside coffee shops to create a space for young people. Of course, we just mentioned caffeine, no alcohol, to get along, dance. The DJ is set at the center for the action. These events have sparked the creation of Cafeton, which is a series dedicated to reggaeton. Am I saying that right?
Reggaeton.
In cafes. That's brought crowds of thousands to cafes on Sunday mornings.
So these happen on Sunday mornings. Caitlin, I am noticing a trend here.
Oh?
With the NA, the non-alcoholic beers.
Sure.
All the cocktail bars where they have a full complement of like super fancy non-alcoholic cocktails. There's
Yeah.
certain bars that are dedicated to non-alcoholic. We spoke with Were you here the day we
Yes, I
spoke with?
was.
Yeah, that influencer who talked
Wellness.
Yeah, her whole wellness model is based on this sober curious or soberish
Yeah.
trend. California sober, that whole thing. So, caffeine and
Clubbing.
DJs, I suppose that kind of makes sense.
On a Sunday morning, though, I gotta say, if I was there to get my cup of joe and there was just blasting music.
Too early. On Stranger Things, I remember that famous line, the morning is for coffee and contemplation. Coffee and contemplation.
What kind of coffee do you make?
I go like, I take it black.
Like,
yeah, because I don't have that.
What brand?
It's
Do you
just
guys
Dunkin'.
have? Okay.
I just have Dunkin'.
Original.
I have it down to a science just with the coffee maker at home. I time it to brew right before I walk out the door.
What kind of coffee maker do you have?
It's like I think it's just like a
Coffee Mate?
Yes, standard Coffee Mate.
I'm surprised.
What
You guys are kind of like you're a cool couple.
Well, Maggie does it all fancy.
she has a different coffee
exactly.
maker.
She's very.
Oh.
My wife is very like. Okay, I have like the standard diner salt shaker with the regular salt. Maggie's got the sea salt in like this little like porcelain thing that she found from some artisan, and there's a little scoop,
Yeah.
and then she neatly
His
shakes
wife is
it
so
onto
cool,
the
you guys.
avocado toast.
Yes.
And of course, so she has the fancy coffee. She grinds it fresh and does the pour over, which is the
That's what I'm talking about.
So you're
That is what I
absolutely right.
expect.
I am a man of the people.
Rub some dirt in it.
You know what I'm saying? Dunkin' coffee and the Coffee Mate, get in my Subaru and come to work.
Yeah, I'm with you. I am the same way. Kind of like gasoline is
Meat
what
and
people
potatoes.
compare my coffee making
I
skills
like that
to.
about you. You'll drink a beer.
A beer.
You
And I
will
want my
drink a
coffee
beer.
to be, what's the word?
You're salt of the earth, Caitlin. That's why I
Exactly
like
right.
you.
Exactly right.
So your coffee is what kind?
Starbucks.
Okay.
Breakfast blend. It's a medium roast. And the trick is, because I used to be a barista,
What?
1 tablespoon per cup of water that you put in.
And what happens if you overdo it or underdo it?
Well, it's got to be even too strong or too weak.
So you really have to go by the, and is
By
that
the
what it says?
tablespoon.
By the tablespoon. So
Yeah.
1 tablespoon per cup?
Of water, correct.
And then do you go regular like coffee, or do you do the pour over?
It's just a regular. We don't have time for that in this shift. Are you
Not on
kidding?
this shift. I just push the button and go to sleep.
Yeah.
You know, you got to load it up. And
This is a weird thing, though. I went on that little vacation to Tennessee.
Yeah.
You know, speaking of coffee pots, the top to my coffee pot is missing, gone.
like upon return?
Like upon return, I said, "Where did this go?" I might have tossed it in the garbage on accident. I don't really know, but
You know, I
You
don't
guys
like
have
those
seen a
little
spare
weird
coffee
things
top
that
around.
happen when you're
gone.
When you're gone and you come back and something's a little off, something's
Yeah.
a little different.
yeah. But I do
Yeah.
love a good coffee, and you just start your day with it. But there's all kinds of different coffee makers you could get, like the Mocha Master. Those are pretty cool looking. But I don't do the espresso. I feel like it doesn't work as well. What about you?
No,
Like a
and it's
latte?
over, and it's over too quickly.
And then
you know,
you're
the little
too full.
espresso.
Oh,
yeah,
if you
exactly.
drink it like
I
a straight
like to
espresso.
linger and enjoy and
make
just-
it get cold and then heat it
Exact-
up.
Yeah,
and then-
exactly. The whole thing. I like
Yeah.
that cup to last like a good 90 minutes.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, for
All
sure.
right, we are going to take a quick break. We'll be back to wrap up this Thursday edition of Chicago Now right after this. 10:58. We are coming up on the end of the show on a Thursday. Caitlin, is there any end in sight to this heat?
Well,
Mike was saying he doesn't see it on the like all the way up into early July. We're talking heat.
well, you know, the extended forecast actually has the 70s in the 10-day
The extended,
outlook.
how extended?
10-day outlook. But can you guess what the normal high is today?
80,
Where should we be? Where should we be?
Let's see. We're late June. I'm gonna go. We should be at like 83. Is that right?
How did you know that?
Oh my gosh, I got acquiesce yesterday, and now
What?
remember acquiesce?
That is very specific. Yes.
I literally just threw a dart at the. I mean, I figured it would be between like 80 and 85 because 78 seems a little too cool. That's
Can you
too
believe
ideal.
July is in like a handful of days?
The summer flies by, and
I
you know,
hate that.
Maggie got all down in the dumps the other day because of the solstice.
Not the
you know
dumps.
how yeah, I mean,
Why?
because the days are getting shorter, right? And it's still the beginning of the summer, but I like to compare it to the winter solstice where that happens like on December 21st. And yes, the days start getting longer, which kind of boosts your mood, but that's the beginning of the winter. So I'm like, babe, we're still at the beginning of the summer. We got time, right?
I don't like the idea of summer being over at all.
Not at all. Now,
Not
but
at all.
But do you see what I mean though? Do you
Yeah.
make that connection where, oh my gosh, the days
summer
are going to
just
be...
started, you guys.
Yeah.
June is the first month of meteorological summer. Okay, we're just
Yeah.
getting into it. But I just feel like it's gonna fly by, and that does make me feel like I'm down in the dumps as well. But it's not over. It's
Oh
not
my
over.
gosh, we got
a wrap.
so many weekends to take advantage of. Always a pleasure, Caitlin. And we
Yes.
will be back with... 10:04. Welcome to this Thursday edition of Chicago Now. Alongside Caitlin Cody, I am Anthony Ponce, and we are getting hot today, aren't we?
Speaking of the hot heat, I saw you commented on my Instagram post about wanting to know more about that vent.
I do. I am so curious about this.
Yeah. Okay, so
give folks the background here, because my home, it's an older home, and it's got this stuff called Space Pack, which is like retrofitted central air. So it wasn't like a part of the original house. They put in, it's like central air, but they had to like pipe it all through this old existing structure, so it has trouble keeping up during the hottest days of the year. So if we have it set to 72, sometimes it's like up at like 78 until nighttime comes, and then it cools back down again.
Awful.
So your whole thing, let me set this up so people have context here. Caitlin has a solution for redistributing more effectively the air so it doesn't all get
well, because people
trapped.
have hot bedrooms upstairs. I mean, it happens with all houses. My house is new and it still does that. So anyways,